Welcome, everybody, to week 12 of the Black and Blue FF Preview, a breakdown of the NFC North. Well, the Bears snuck one by, and that didn't make us happy, but Green Bay was able to win as well, and we are still only half a game back from the Chicago Bears. Detroit did lose against the Eagles, and that puts us half a game ahead of them. Currently, three teams of the NFC North are in the NFC playoffs. Just tells you how good the NFC North really is, and that's why it's called the Black and Blue Division, because we all have to beat each other up just to get a spot in the playoffs. This week is a prime example of that. It is the Minnesota Vikings coming to Lambeau Field for Week 12 excitement. As it currently sits, the Green Bay Packers are negative 6.5 favorites, and the projected score total is 41.5 points. I'm not sure that'll happen. I think it'll be a defensive game. You look for Aaron Jones to come back. He outsnapped Jordan Mason 33 to 9 snaps for them, although Mason was productive. I look for Aaron Jones to be having another great game, somebody that the Packers are going to have to key in and stop. Luckily, this is still a top 5 Russian defense. The Giants had some success with Tracy and Singletary last week, but the Packers were able to more or less contain them, although Singletary did score. When we look at J.J. McCarthy, he's kind of just, his own issue, so to speak. You can see the frustration on Jefferson's face, who's had a number of quarterbacks in his NFL career. He's still frustrated with JJ over there, and that could lead to some potential problems. They may try to force feed him early. Green Bay secondary is okay. It's not great, but they know what JJ likes to throw, and they know what JJ likes to run on the other side. Look for some zone to try to throw J.J. McCarthy out. Could be some good blitzing. Of course, Micah Parsons with Sean Gary, arguably the best tandem on the edge in the NFL. They will be bringing the pressure against J.J. McCarthy, hence why Aaron Jones might have a good game. When I look at Green Bay, Josh Jacobs' knee is structurally sound. He did have to leave the game, but we are going to have to monitor that going forward. I think Emmanuel Wilson is somebody that's probably going to be picked up across most leagues in fantasy football. If not, he should be. He went above his rushing prop, obviously, last week. Scored a touchdown. He's a bruiser. Chris Brooks might come in and get some passes as well. He doesn't have near as many offensive snaps as Emmanuel Wilson. So Wilson's probably going to get an uptick as they, try to keep. We need Jacobs for the playoffs. It's just we're going to have him for then. So I expect him to take 1 week off, if not 2, with the short turnaround playing on Thanksgiving against Greg's Lions. So Jacobs could be out 2 weeks. Go look at Wilson. Christian Watson really broke out in that game. 2 excellent catches. He had caught a touchdown from both Willis and Love, because Love did leave the game last week. Doesn't look like it's significant. We do need to monitor it. But Watson, he's back. Dobbs still led the team in receptions last week. Yardage-wise, not receptions-wise, but yardage-wise, he was the leader. And he had a couple drops, so they'll hurt his numbers. Look for Love to continue to go back to him. This Vikings have a decent secondary, nothing great, kind of more great up front. Josh Metellus has been taken advantage of a lot this year. I'm not sure that we have the tight ends that can do that, but Watson is somebody that should be able to burn Harrison deep. No disrespect to Harrison. Watson's just a much quicker, faster athlete and much bigger athlete, 6'5". He's one of the biggest wide receivers out there. So we expect Watson to have a good game. We expect Dobbs to have a good game. Savion Williams and Golden, Matthew Golden, each had 1 catch last week. Golden way outsnapped him. Williams only had 2 offensive snaps, but he was much more productive with them. So that's something we're going to have to monitor as well. Expect Green Bay to win this game at home, move 1 step closer to reclaiming the division. To tell us about the Chicago Bears, here's Andy.
Well, the division leading Bears. That's right, the NFC North leading Bears, 7-3, preparing to face the dusty remains of Aaron Rodgers and whoever the Pittsburgh Steelers roll out there. Life is good as a Bears fan. This is about as good as it gets. It's certainly as good as it's been in a while. Caleb Williams, clearly the clutchiest quarterback in the NFL today. I can't even name another clutch quarterback who deserves consideration in that conversation. No, the Bears played another game that they squeaked out. This time against the Vikings, last second field goal. Wouldn't feel right unless they won that way, unless somebody left them 40 seconds or 50 seconds or a minute in which to snatch victory from the jaws of absolute collapse. But still, things are good. 7-3, life is good. You win 3 more games, you'd just be crazy unlucky not to make the playoffs. So it's a great situation in which the Bears find themselves. If you're a Bears fan like me, you're probably just, you're looking down the road, you're scouting Super Bowl opponents. What's to worry about? Everything is a trap game at this point. Things are looking good. The questions that I get from people: Kyle Monangai, DeAndre Swift. I like them both. It's okay to like them both. I think Monangai has now settled into double-digit touches each week. Ben Johnson wants to run the football. If you gave him a choice and allowed him to run the ball 35 times each game, dominate time of possession, pick up 150, 200 rushing yards, do exactly what they did against the Saints a few weeks ago, I think that's what he would do. Right now, the split is something like 60-40, 60-35, and then some scraps, something like that. DeAndre Swift is a really good player, and he is not ceding territory to Kyle Monangai. They're both used at the goal line. Swift is probably a more dynamic, versatile back. He's the guy who's going to see more receiving opportunities. You know that. That's why there's a little bit of a gap in the ranks, but these are both very good players. The other thing that you need to know fantasy-wise, the Luther Burden thing happened. It didn't really happen in the box score. Luther didn't have some supernova game, but he outsnapped Olamide Zaccheaus 33-10. That is a huge freaking deal. This is a really talented player, a yards after catch monster. He's going to have some big games down the stretch, and he's a nice sneaky ad for you right now. Bear down.
Okay, I was hopeful, not delusional. Okay, I did want the Lions to beat the Eagles this weekend, but in the TSA Pick'em contest, I chose the Eagles. Finished 13-2 for the week. Not bad for me. Uh, 9 points is the fewest Detroit has scored since week 7 of 2023. All right. So at the end of the game, there was controversy. Okay. There was a pass interference call that took away any chance for Detroit to come back and tie or win that game. And that call was horrible, according to Chris Collinsworth. And I got to say, I agree. It was as nitpicky as they get. But it's not the bad call that cost Detroit the game. We all know that Jared Goff plays better at home than he does on the road, and especially that he does outside. He always plays better inside than he does outside. The conditions in Philadelphia were far from pristine. Blustery winds, I think up to over 30 miles an hour at some points, caused Jake Bates to miss an extra point after Jameson Williams got a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty after scoring a touchdown. Got a PAT pushed outside the uprights. So it was what it was. It was a windy, blustery day, and Jared Goff completed 14 of 37 passes, which that's really bad. Okay. It's 37.8% completion rate. And Goff has been averaging 74% for the year. So that's way down on where he was. His connection with Amon-Ra just wasn't there. I mean, Amon-Ra caught 2 passes for 40 some yards. Just not good. Now, since Jack Campbell took over the playing calling, there's been a concerted effort to get Jameson Williams more involved in the offense, and that did show up again this week. So that's something I think you can count on going forward. So just keep that in mind. All right. We want to know, though, what do we expect for week 12? Well, Detroit's at home and they're hosting the Giants, who are not the best defense in the league, not even close. Um, I would say the offense is going to put up 40 points. I really think they will this week. Goff plays much better inside, as we said earlier, and you know the conditions are going to be great in Detroit. So I just think what you're going to see is we're going to see continuation of Goff back on track, Amon-Ra back on track. Jahmyr Gibbs is not going to be held under 4 yards of carry against the Giants like he was against the Eagles. That Eagles defense is tough. They played well. Now I start Goff, Amon-Ra, Jahmyr, David Montgomery's, I probably don't start him. He might be a flex play. That's about as far as I'll go. Jamison Williams is a starter for me now. I will not start Brock Wright. He's taken over since Detroit put Sam Laporta, whose jersey I'm wearing, on IR. Laporta's gone. Wright only caught 2 passes, so I'm not inserting him into my lineup. Defense, so I thought Detroit played extremely well on defense, and I think you've got to start Alex Anzalone and Jack Campbell and Brian Branch in IDP leagues. Everything always depends on your scoring system. Now, DBs. Brian Branch gets tackles, so he's must start. But the cornerbacks played extremely well against the Eagles. They really did. Rock Ya-Sin, and despite that terrible call, played extremely well. He got 5 tackles, 5+, with assists counted. I think for us to start one of the DBs, it depends on the starting quarterback. If Jackson Dart is playing, he was out with the concussion last week. I probably don't start any of the corners for Detroit. If it's Jameis Williams, uh, Jameis Winston, excuse me. If Jameis Winston is starting or Russell Wilson, then I'm going to probably start both Terry and Arnold and Rock Ya-Sin because one of them is going to get a pick, maybe both of them. So that's it for the Lions. Iggy, your Packers kind of blew it, but not as bad, in my opinion, as JC's Vikings. JC, what do you expect from the Vikings this week?
What's up, everybody? This is JC from the Sports Affiliation, and we are here to cover the disastrous Minnesota Vikings. Before we get into this Week 12 rivalry game against the Green Bay Packers, I want to talk a little bit about Vikings Week 11 division flop against the Bears. Ugh. All right, let's just dive into this nonsense real quick. JJ McCarthy is the definition of a struggle bus. All right. Let's talk about his full game stats, okay, before the last drive of the game. So he went 10 for 24, 74 yards, and 2 interceptions. 3 minutes left in the game, right? Last drive, 6 for 8, 76 yards, and a touchdown. So he did better than he did, right? Better than he did at the end of the game in one drive than he did the whole game. That's crazy. It's crazy to me. It's so backwards. Also, he had back-to-back drives with bad interceptions, both balls underthrown, one of which was into double coverage to Justin Jefferson under pressure. The other one was in the end zone to Jordan Addison, and it was underthrown ball. Addison had turned around back to try to catch it, and it was snagged. And I believe there was another one, too, that was dropped, an interception that was dropped. So that could potentially, again, be 3 like last week. There was 6 total dropped passes out of the 32 pass attempts this week. So here's the total stats for McCarthy this week. 6 for 32, 150 yards, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 47.7 passer rating. Okay, and remember, I said 76 of those yards and a touchdown came in the last 3 minutes. He's only had 1 game this year over 160 passing yards. That's crazy. When you think about having Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, and Jordan Addison, and Naylor's been insane. It baffles me how you can have 1 game over 160 yards. And he has 8 interceptions to his 6 touchdown ratio in 5 games. This isn't good, man. It's not good. It's not something that I'm excited for with JJ McCarthy. All right, the defense though, right? Defense always is looking hot. Dallas Turner having a big game, man. We were thinking that he maybe last year he was going to turn up right away, but this year, man, having a couple of good games, 2 tackles, 5 assists, 7 total tackles, and a sack. So good game for Dallas Turner. Van Ginkel, 2 tackles, 6 assists, 8 total tackles and a sack. Another big game for Van Ginkel since he's been back. We talked about how big he's been, was a missing piece from the defense. So that's huge for him. Blake Cashman, also somebody who was missing through a couple of weeks. He's been back and been playing absolutely out of his mind. 6 tackles, 9 assists, 15 total tackles. So we've been talked about this every single week. He's over 10 total tackles every single week. So we got to love that. Oh yeah, and on the kick, on as a kick returner too, we have a guy named Miles Price, undrafted free agent. He's been a huge pickup for us at kick and punt return. I'm going to tell you right now, I think this guy is a good ad for in leagues with kick return yards, especially with injuries and stuff coming, happening to receivers. Maybe you need to plug and play somebody, in your flex. The guy's averaging, 98.5 return yard or kick return yards per game. And 8 out of 10 games over 100 kick plus punt return yards. So, I mean, you're going to be pretty, getting good points for this guy if you just need to throw somebody in there. What else can we talk about here? Oh yeah. Also, yeah, he had in this past game, he had 4 kick returns for 93 yards and 3 punt returns for 79 yards. So, like I said, it's another way to get somebody involved if you need somebody to plug and play, especially with the opportunities that our defense is like giving him for the amount of times they stop drives. Okay. All right, so I wanted to discuss real quick the last 3 minutes of the game. So Vikings end up getting the ball back. JJ McCarthy, he drives the play down all the way downfield, and we score a touchdown to Addison, which is great, man. Awesome. 50 seconds left in the game, right? 50 seconds, which is a lot of time. Anything can happen. Will Reichard makes a huge mistake. This special teams makes a huge mistake. They kick the ball off to Devin Duvernay, all pro returner, and he gets a huge 50-plus yard return, which is an absolute big mistake. It ends up basically, allowing the Bears to go downfield and win the game with a field goal. So the Vikings, man, they just have been a disappointment with some of this stuff. This is a typical way for the Vikings to finish this game. But Bears definitely Santos. He missed a field goal earlier in the game, which would have already ultimately put the Bears ahead. So regardless, I feel the Bears would have won this game. So regardless of even McCarthy driving downfield and getting that touchdown. So I just want to get that out their way. All right, let's get on to week 12, another division rivalry game with big implications, right? We all love when the Vikings visit Lambeau, play against Green Bay. Let's just talk a little bit here real quick. Packers, they're 6-3-1. They're playing at home. Packers are favored by 6.5 points, so there is that, right? They have some bumps at home lately. Lost 2 straight at Lambeau before their last, most recent win at home. But their offense has definitely been inconsistent and struggling. But the defense, man, looking strong. Look for Micah Parsons. Give Grenard a hard day. You give that offensive line a hard day. You could see McCarthy struggling a little bit, right? If he's got Micah Parsons in his face all day. Key injury concern though, right? Josh Jacobs has been questionable, got a knee injury, but if he plays, things are going to be great. But they do have that backup to come in and play as well. On the Viking side, let's talk real quick. They are 4-6 right now, last in the division. So there is that. Tough start to the season. Their playoff chances are slipping. They've had successes on the road in the division this season, which is somewhat encouraging. They beat the Bears at home and they beat the Detroit Lions as well. Big concern though is we talk about it, right? JJ McCarthy's been struggling with his accuracy, his turnovers, and his consistency. A lot of overthrows and underthrows, bad decision making. So we got to get past that. Key notes here for the Vikings on defense, right? Vikings defense, man, they've been crazy. They've been playing so well under Brian Flores. They always have the capability to pressure opposing quarterbacks heavily. This will help a lot, especially with a struggling Jordan Love. This could definitely put him under pressure and make him make some mistakes, which we've already seen a lot with him lately. Could see a big revenge game here from Eric Wilson. Returning back to Lambeau. He used to play with the Packers. Let's say fire him up, man. Fire him up. Fire Cashman up. Fire Van Ginkel up. Minnesota's been one of the highest pressure rate or units in the NFL right now, and we got to just stick with them. Packers line falters or Josh Jacobs is limited. This Vikings defense can make it a long, 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 long day for Jordan Love. So if the Vikings are going to steal a game, obviously that defense needs to be strong. JJ McCarthy needs to perform better than he has recently. It's been absolutely error prone. We've been talking about that over and over and over, but I don't understand, right? I don't understand the struggles with the receivers he has. But there's no more excuses, right? No more excuses. That offensive line is completely healthy, so no more excuses. Couple final notes here. This definitely feels like a must-win game, right, for Minnesota. Must-win game if they want to be in the playoff hunt. Otherwise, they're out. So what needs to happen, right? JJ McCarthy needs to be perfect. He has to play cleaner. Must do what he can, right, to keep drives alive. No more mistakes. I keep talking about this. He makes too many mistakes. If Minnesota can't do that, Packers should take this game easily. Green Bay, you got to remember, Green Bay has the home field advantage. And they're going to assert control, in this divisional game. And the Packers also have that edge at QB, right? They have a veteran quarterback. We have that young QB McCarthy who's been struggling. However, the Vikings defense, man, if they can carve a pathway to keep it tight, keep things tight between us, if they can do that, then maybe we can see Aaron Jones pound the rock, right? Pound the rock in another game, right? Talking about another revenge game. Aaron Jones, man. Straight Jonesing. He's going to be back to be playing strong, here back in Lambeau. So if he can have a big game, that defensive can stay strong and keep the Packers from scoring or keep them from scoring minimal stuff, keeping them to just scoring field goals, which McMahon has been struggling. I think he's like last in the league right now for kicks. So for accuracy. So he's definitely been struggling. I know he is going to be playing this game. So if the Vikings can stay strong, we can see good things happen. but the way that this offense has been playing, I'm gonna have to say, this could easily be another loss for Minnesota. But I don't expect a blowout. I don't expect a blowout. They're talking about that spread being -6.5. I don't even see Vikings losing by a touchdown. My thoughts are the game's gonna be close. Green Bay wins 24-20, but if the Vikings defense steps up like we've been talking about, how they've been playing so well, then JJ McCarthy can be a little bit more efficient, not get turned the ball over. The Vikings could win. I still don't see it being a very high scoring game, but like I said, the defense plays strong. Vikings go down in the last end of the game here and score a field goal, win the game. Packers 18, Vikings 20. That's how I feel like this game ends if they can be efficient and you don't have any struggles with the offense. Defense is going to be strong. Okay, if you want a little betting note with that, like what I was just talking about, how the spread, you can take the Vikings here, right? +5.5 or +6.5. It's tempting. It's tempting. They've been playing really well on the road, and the Green Bay's had some struggles, so it's definitely tempting. Either way, how I predicted it, this hits. So that being said, Skull Vikings every single week. I'm gonna be riding, the Vikings, but it's been a struggle bus with McCarthy. Got to clean some stuff up, but here comes the week 12. Sunday's gonna be a tough rivalry game, but appreciate everyone rocking with us on the Black and Blue Fantasy Football preview show, covering the NFC North, the best division in the NFL. I get to work every single day, or every single week, I should say, with Iggy and Greg Kellogg and Andy Behrens. It's been a blessing. But make sure y'all go check out the website, sportsaffiliation.com. Make sure you also check out the YouTube page, get subscribed, like, comment. Make sure you smash the notifications because we got so much content coming out throughout the week. Also, like I said, check out the website because there are so many articles coming out throughout the week, not only football, but also basketball. Um, and we're gonna have a Discord popping up here soon. We're getting it rolling, but yeah, people will be getting invites here soon. But yeah, we appreciate everybody joining us. But I'm out of here. Peace out, everybody. Later.